On the 28th of March 2022, 24-year-old Nicole Lehman was sentenced to 15 years in prison in the death of a newborn child. The events unfolded at around 10:27 p.m. on the 12th of November 2019, when the authorities responded to a vacant block at 39 Orange Street in Port Jervis, New York, on reports of finding a dead baby. The child was unclothed and lying on the ground with its umbilical cord still intact and was about 9 weeks premature. It was determined that the girl had died of exposure to the elements, having been abandoned in the freezing cold conditions. The authorities were able to trace the mother of the baby after conducting DNA tests on the tissue of the child that linked Nicole to the crime. And on the 18th of February 2020, they executed a search warrant at her home and arrested her. On the 10th of December 2021, Nicole pleaded guilty to manslaughter, abandoning her newborn, and failing to notify anyone. On the 28th of March 2022, she was sentenced to 15 years in the Orange County Jail. 32-year-old Ishmael Williams has been arrested and charged with stabbing and setting his roommate on fire. The events unfolded at around 3 p.m. on the 2nd of April 2022, when the authorities responded to an apartment located at the intersection of 51st Avenue and Encanto Boulevard in Phoenix, Arizona, on reports of a fire. When firefighters and police arrived at the scene, they found Ishmael trying to put out the flames. First responders extinguished the fire and entered the premises. Inside, they found Ishmael's 33-year-old roommate, whose name remains anonymous, lying face down on the floor in his bedroom. They moved his burnt body to the living room and noticed he suffered stab wounds to his neck, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Ishmael told investigators that he did not touch the victim, but he had blood on his hands, calves, feet, as well as the shorts he was wearing. Authorities also found a bloody butcher's knife and a gas can inside the victim's bedroom. Ishmael admitted to the investigators that the gas can belonged to him, but said he had nothing to do with his roommate's death. He also mentioned that he and the victim were the only ones at the home when the fire started. Ishmael explained that the two of them argued over the victim's inability to pay rent and the living conditions of the home, including how dirty the roommate left the apartment. Ishmael said that his roommate then went to his bedroom and closed the door behind him. Ishmael said that about 15 minutes later he heard a loud noise coming from the victim's bedroom. Ishmael said he forced entry into the bedroom, and as he opened the door, he saw his roommate standing inside the room, engulfed in flames. That's when he said he ran out and called for help, before returning to the kitchen to fill up a bucket of water to try and put out the fire. The authorities said that the evidence at the scene, along with interviews conducted, led detectives to arrest Ishmael that same day. He's held on a $1 million bond and has been charged with murder, arson, and tampering with evidence. On the 24th of March 2022, 34-year-old Lonnie Bishop was sentenced to 50 years in prison for murdering his 57-year-old mother, Yun Bishop. The incident occurred at around 6:12 p.m. on the 31st of May 2021, when the authorities responded to a disturbance at her home, located at 728 North 11th Street in Waco, Texas. When officers arrived, they found Lonnie on the front porch of the home. He was shirtless and holding a phone in one hand and a hatchet in the other. He told the officers he killed his mother after repeatedly striking her with a hammer. Police arrested Lonnie and they entered the home, where they located a bloody hammer in the kitchen. In a bedroom, they found Yun's badly beaten and lifeless body, lying on a bed with extensive facial and head injuries. Her cause of death was determined to be from severe blunt force trauma to the head. A neighbour told police that she'd been on the phone with Yun during the attack, and she asked her to call 911 for help. Lonnie said he didn't remember much about what he said to his mother before he killed her, but the neighbour who was on the phone with Yun heard him say, "I've got a plan for you." A friend then heard the phone taken away from Yun, and over an open line, she heard multiple loud thumps over the phone. A court-appointed psychologist named Lee Carter completed a mental evaluation on Lonnie and determined that although he suffered PTSD and numerous other mental disorders, he was deemed to be sane and fit to stand trial. He explained to Lee that he was raised by alcoholic and abusive parents. Lonnie said that killing his mother was like an out-of-body experience. The day it happened, I couldn't even say I was acting like myself. Lonnie said he wanted people to know the reason he did it, and that he's not a heartless monster that didn't like her or care about his mother. People look at it different than the way it actually happened, he said. Lonnie said he thinks his mother genuinely loved him and his brothers, but said he thinks she wanted them to be miserable. I mean, if you ask me for a definition of an evil person, her emotions were evil, he said. Lonnie was sentenced to spend the next 50 years behind bars at the McLennan County Jail.